Welcome to Universal Soul Talk Podcast, where in this episode, we're diving into an important conversation about men's mental health and the pressures that they face in society. Join us as we explore stories of men breaking their silence, sharing their journeys, and shedding light on the challenges that they encounter. Together, we'll uncover insights, offer support, and work towards understanding the complexities of men's mental well being in today's world. Get ready to listen, learn, and connect on this episode of Universal Soul Talk. Hey y'all, I'm Tay Wavy. I'm here with Mel Douglas, and we have a special guest today, Loki. He is our brother, he is a husband, he is a father, a provider, and an advocate for men's mental health. And he is ready to share some insight with us today. Hey y'all, how's it going?
Hey, hey, family. I am super excited about this episode because it's so important. It's such an important topic that I feel like needs to be spoke on more often. And I'm even more excited because Loki is on it with us. And I know he's going to bring some really, really good insight on this topic. Men's mental health is a critical issue, which is often overshadowed by societal stigmas. And these stigmas can deter men from seeking the help that they need, leading to, consequences such as untreated mental illness and even suicide. And understanding and addressing these stigmas is crucial for promoting better mental health and outcomes for our men. So, low key, I wanted to go ahead and ask you the first question. We're just going to jump into it because we really, really, really want to hear your perspective on men's mental health and the stigmas in society. So, my first question for you is: do you feel pressure to conform to traditional notions of masculinity? How does this affect you, if so?
Um, well, first of all, I want to say hey, and it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm glad y'all invited me to the show. And
Yes, thank you so much for being here.
uh, yeah, I mean, it's more frustrating than anything because you a lot of for I say for the men in general, you're expected to to meet certain standards or live a certain way or have a certain personality, not based on what how you feel, but based on what some people will tell you how you're supposed to behave or how you're supposed to act or how they want to see you through their eyes. And that can be a whole lot of pressure on the average man. I've I've had to deal with it a whole lot I'll say during in the work world, mainly in the corporate world, just being looked at a certain way and you can say certain things, and now everything is changed throughout time now because everybody's so sensitive to everything. So you have to be careful what you say or what you don't say or where you don't look or look and what you might wear. Everything is offensive to everybody, so you already have to almost bite your tongue and put your hands behind your back before you do anything at all, because people are already in defense mode and ready to be offended by no matter what it is that you do.
I can definitely see to where like that's just like a lot of pressure, especially nowadays, like with what you were saying. Like I feel like the expectation for a man is just like A, it's super high. B, how can you it's like it must be hard to like navigate and like embrace your masculinity because like you said, everybody's so offended by everything these days and everybody's like looking for an altercation, everybody's looking for a fight, everyone's looking to get into it, and I feel like men have become like a big target to that, so I can see where that's definitely where that could definitely be a challenge and like a lot to kind of carry with you on a day-to-day basis, especially in the corporate world.
Yeah, it is. It is. And let's say, yeah, everybody's just so ready to be, in defense mode when, everybody wants to be a victim and nobody wants to take responsibility for everything. It's a sensitive world. I mean, where I came up, everything was, you had to have thick skin. Nothing was easy. You weren't expected to be emotional, express how you feel. You just had to be tough all the time. So, I mean, I grew up in a, old school, very old fashioned upbringing. So now it's looking back on where things are now. It's different to say the least. Yeah, it's just very different.
Yeah, times have changed drastically since like when you would have grown up or when I would have grown up. And society is just so influential in a lot of negative ways, not only because of like social media, but just the way that people think and carry themselves nowadays. Like you said, everybody is trying to, it's like a competition, or everybody's trying to like bring each other down or like find faults or flaws in everybody, as if it's like something they seek out to do on a daily basis or something. And I see for men, they have a lot of those issues, not only like in the workplace, but just like in general in their friend group, in at home, just in general altogether. And i really I really could see how you having to put on that front, and just kind of like not be vulnerable, not express yourself, and in a sense be almost like a robot to just keep going on a daily basis would have to be very significant on your mental health, your emotional health, your spirit, just breaking you down on a daily basis.
Yeah, absolutely. And even also, like you say, with social media and everything, and everybody's just wanting to fit in, and everybody's doing everything for likes. And, say we didn't come up during that time. We came up where you wanted something, you had to earn it. You had to basically, get it from the muscle, and you had to work your ass off to get to wherever you wanted to be instead of just, people will, their whole like drive in life is likes. How many likes I can get, how many followers I can get, versus get out there and get a job and make something of yourself instead of just going to somebody else's party or standing in somebody else's house that you don't even live in. You and hey, look at me kind of thing, and then is that's what your self-esteem is based off of. You know what I mean? And back then, that also takes a major part because people depend on social media to define them when it shouldn't. We didn't have that. What your basically your self esteem depending on what you did for yourself. How were your grades in school, how hard you work at sports, how your own accomplishments by actually putting effort into doing stuff instead of taking pictures and stuff.
I definitely see that. So like I know that you were saying, and I agree that as a society, we've gotten a lot more soft and everybody's become a lot more soft and everybody is doing it for the gram, if you would, and looking for that type of validation. So I know that that is definitely way different than people actually going out there into the world and doing things and that just made me question, like, do you appreciate though? Like, I know some changes have been a little bit like questionable, like, dang, like the society is turning soft, the men is turning, a little bit different than how they were. And I could definitely agree with that. But as a man, do you appreciate that society is looking more into mental health now than they did like when we were growing up? Because I kind of grew up to where it was like, even as a woman, it was like mental health, sure, it was real, but like, go pray about it, go figure it out yourself. Like, it wasn't something that we could have these discussions about. So as a man, do you appreciate like that more people and women are kind of being like, okay, our men are struggling, our men are hurting, like, how can we help them? Or do you feel like it should be like kind of like how it was, to where like men just kind of keep going and keep pushing?
No, I think it weighs out. I think it's kind of, it is helping who needs the help because, it's at one point it was, you know, suck it up, buttercup, and just keep going. But also now it's like I grew up and I was raised very old fashioned. So there's a lot of things you couldn't say. You know what I mean? There were things that you could say, but you had to handle it. It was handled differently. But now where people are actually asking, "Hey, how do you feel?" That simple question right there. How you feeling? How's your day going? And that can that can make all the difference in the world for somebody because I've had times to where guys will you can ask a man, "Hey, how you doing today?" "I'm good. Everything all right?" "Yeah." Your mouth is saying everything is good, but you can see that something's bothering that person.
Right, right.
So with having somebody who actually cares, yeah, it definitely helps. And yeah, I definitely it's much appreciated. Much appreciated.
Good, good. I love to know that just like men are starting to understand that not y'all don't have to be strong all the time. And I love me a strong man. I love me a masculine man. I love me an old school man. But I also want, and I'm like this in my relationship, I want my man to know that like it's okay if you don't want to suck it up all the time. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to tell me that you're struggling with something mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and so on, because a lot of us, and I won't say everybody, but I know a lot of us really do want to be there and support y'all and want y'all to come up. So yeah, I feel like I try to tell a lot of women that I talk to, take time to ask your man, like you were saying, like check in with your man. Ask how he's doing, because he could be out there providing, doing what he needs to do, being there, being the strong one, being the protector, and he could be carrying a weight that you have no idea. So I feel like it's very important for us to check in with our men.
Right. And being receptive to your man, like watching his cues as a man, getting to know your man, like really understanding how your man moves, I feel like is really important as well, not only for him, but like your relationship in general. Like when he walks through the door and he's openly expressing to you how his day went, he doesn't have to do that, especially when most of the time he doesn't do that. Obviously, there's something about that day or that moment or that issue that really affected him, that he needed to come home and express that to you. So showing him that like attention and that affection, and like giving him eye contact and allowing him to understand that, like, I see you, I hear you, I'm here for you, and having that like safety too is significant.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
definitely important, girl.
yeah, definitely. Because I mean, like I said, it goes a long way. Just because men are, naturally we're supposed to be the protector and everything. Supposed to be there emotionally and everything for the woman. Hug and kiss her and everything. Naturally, by nature, men we don't communicate well. You know what I mean? That's why women communicate way better than men do. That's why when a man can, that's basically almost like why if a man gets frustrated with something, we probably want to go get in a fight, go start breaking something, start kicking stuff around. But a woman, she may get emotional, but she's going to express it. She's going to start talking a whole lot. She's going to tell you everything that's on her mind. It might go from, "Baby, what's wrong?" And she'll tell you everything that's going on. The guy will be like, "Hey, what's wrong?" Nothing, but he's in the, he's outside just throwing stuff, kicking doors, just doing stuff because we, the average man doesn't know how to really express or say how he feels because growing up, I know especially in our day, and I sounded old just then. But anyway, but growing up, you show your vulnerability, you get picked on. So I think the older men get, I know I have. I'm speaking for me. The older I've gotten, I can say a lot better at it because at one time, I was able to put it into different forms, into poetry, into music, or things like that. But it's gotten easier because I guess the older you get, you tend to worry less about what someone thinks about you because you're worried you have other responsibilities, older you get, you might have to worry, you have bills you need to take care of, you focus on that, your family, and depending on where you are in your job, now you're responsible for other people, and that can also weigh on you as well, being put more pressure on you because now everybody's coming to you to express all these different things about what's going on at work or what's going on in their lives. But now who do you have to talk to? You have all these things going on in your mind and things you need to get out, and now you carrying the weight of everybody else, and you can't say anything, and after a while you just explode. You know what I mean? So now is things have gotten better, and people are being more open about, you know, they're going to therapy, just getting things off the chest, getting things off the mind because it can take a really bad turn, really really awful turn.
I definitely see that. Just the older I get as well, like I know that the weight is very, very heavy for all men. But well, first off, before I get into the next question, I just want to put a disclaimer for the viewers. I'm not feeding into no agenda. I'm not trying to cause no divide. I'm not trying to do whatever y'all may think I'm trying to do. But as an Afro Latino woman, I have to ask this. Loki, do you feel like being a black man in society affects your health differently than maybe a white man? And like the weight you have
Oh
to carry?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I already know I'm a threat. You know what I mean? And it's been shown to me my whole entire life, with every aspect of my life. Uh, like I already know that just my existence is a problem. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I know, like, and it is shown, and it's been very like blatantly in my face my entire life. Um, I've had issues to where I'm just in the store and I'm being followed around in the store because the person in the store thinks I'm about to steal, but you know what I mean? Aside from the fact that people around the people you're not watching are the ones that's stealing. I'm the one with the money in my pocket. I come in to buy something. Even at work. You know what I mean? I know I've even been told by older people at my previous job when I was working in a hotel industry. There's an older guy came out there and told me, he's like, hey, look, you've been here for a long time. You know a lot. They know that you know a lot, but you don't have to let them know everything that you know because once you do that, then you're a problem. You're a threat. And then they're gonna try to move you out. And I saw it. You know what I mean? And I saw it in so many different forms, and they couldn't hide it because it's one of those things where people will say you. Long story short is you don't know what's being done to somebody if you're on the other side of it. So
Right.
Like if I'm being basically being mistreated just because of the color of my skin by, let's say, as a white person on the other side of it, and I can say, hey, this is racism. The other one, that white person that said, oh no, no, it's not. You're just thinking that, blah blah blah, angry. But then at the same time, I'm explaining to them, hey, this is why it's racist. They automatically say, right then and there, no matter what I say, I'm the angry black man. Oh, whatever he says, he's going to say is racist. But like I say, you don't understand it, you don't know it, you really don't recognize it if you're not on the receiving end of it.
That illicit bias is a big problem in society. So just, bouncing off of what you're saying right now, as a white woman, no, I will never truly understand what you experience, not only because I'm a woman, but also because I'm white. But I do understand from a perspective of the illicit bias. Like, they are raised in a certain environment where they are almost brainwashed to think a certain way, to act a certain way, and they don't even recognize that they are coming off this way. And some of them, obviously, with explicit bias, they do. They're very front forward and very negative and nasty about it. But there are the ones with illicit bias where they just don't recognize what they're saying and what they're doing, and that kind of makes it worse, because it's like, you're sitting here telling me that I'm wrong for how I feel, but you're not even self reflecting and recognizing the things that you're saying or doing are making me feel this way. You're trying to act like I'm wrong when in reality, you're not recognizing the things that you're saying and doing is literally coming off that way. That's like the way anybody would take it on the receiving end. So I do think illicit bias is a big issue in society right now. A lot of people make smart comments or side eye you or whatever the case is, and just don't recognize how those little things, those little comments, those little faces, those mannerisms, how they can be taken so deeply.
Yeah,
I definitely agree with that. And then a part of me also feels like some people they know what they're saying, they know what they're doing, and I feel like there's a war on men in general, but there's more specifically there's a war on black men, and a part of that is to continue to tear the black man down and to continue to make him feel oppressed, to make him feel like he has to suppress his emotions. He constantly walks around with a target on his back. He's written off as, like Loki was saying, like, oh, like he's gonna steal something, like he can't
Mhm.
express his knowledge freely. The assumptions of probably not a great father, probably not a great husband. And I'm sure just that weight, and I feel like just people of color grow up in general knowing that people are thinking that about them. So having that weight on your shoulder as a man has got to be like crushing sometimes. I feel like that's got to be really overwhelming sometimes.
Mhm.
yeah, it is. It's definitely, and it's frustrating, and nobody understands it. The only other person who can understand is another black man. You know
Right.
what I mean? I've, been in a situation where, I've had, like, I've been in a situation to where a coworker or one of my employees has called me the N word. I go to my boss and tell him what was said to me, and then he just makes an excuse. Oh, well, she thinks she's black. What? You know what I mean? Like, oh, so I'm just supposed to just take that. But I tell this person, okay, well, you were late for work. I gotta document this, and then I turn it into my boss, and then he takes their side. I'm like, well, hold on, it's right here in black and white that this person was late for work. But when I tell you they're being making racist comments towards me, you make an excuse for them. So who do I have? Where's my support? I have zero support. It's almost like you're always on an island by yourself.
Right.
Yeah, and I feel like the only way that like I mean, I know that people need to hear it, which is why I decided that, like, and Mel decided that we needed to ask that question, because A, people need to hear it. And I feel like the only way we could start to, like, bridge that gap and, like, heal as a collective is, like, through these conversations and through hearing people like you share their experiences, share their hard times, share the traumas that they may have from dealing with racism and how that really plays a huge role in mental health.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. Because it can, it can drive people crazy. It definitely will. And I've had, people have had different conversations of, I can't even think of the lady's name right now. It's, I think, believe she's a doctor, but she used to do these experiments. She have a room full of people, and one of the questions that she would ask them, like, "Hey, do you feel that? Raise your hands if you feel that uh, black people are treated unfairly in this country." And this would be a room full of people, full of white kids, and nobody would raise their hand. And then she would ask follow up with the question saying, "Raise your hand if you would want to be treated like a black person for one day." And again, nobody raised their hands. So you're going to say, okay, well, black people aren't being mistreated, but you don't want to be treated like a black person. You wouldn't even want to go 24 hours being treated like a black person. So you're contradicting yourself. So some people, that we're treated a certain way, but you're not going to admit to it. And that's one of those things that, America doesn't want to acknowledge and accept and apologize for. But this is something that's been going on for over 400 years. But now people just want to sweep it under the rug and say, oh, well, that was a long time ago. You should get over it. But that they don't understand scientifically that PTSD, it travels, it goes on through the DNA, even though
Mhm.
it's passed down from generation to generation.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
think Ti puts that at that interview or that question. He puts that at the end of one of his songs, and I can't remember that lady's name either. But I remember listening to that song. I think it's like Warzone by Ti, and it was like, "You white people like want to be treated like black folks. Like raise your hand." And she's like, "See, like nobody's raising their hand. Like that's how you know that there's a huge problem."
I think you guys are
Yeah.
talking about Jane Elliott. Is that who you're speaking?
Jane Elliott.
Yes, yes, that's it. Thank you, girl.
Yeah, Jane Elliott. Yeah, she's very intelligent, and she definitely brings it from a whole different ass perspective that people of, white color, they're like, I didn't even take a second to think about it that way. And I think what she stands for and what she speaks on is really, really important. She's been doing it for a long time, long, 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 long time, like 20 plus years. Um, and definitely what she speaks on is so important. And we need to have more advocates like that of the white race that does advocate for the people of color, because it's very important. It's a great perspective that she has, and I think it allows for people to recognize the, if you want to call it, privilege that we do have.
Yeah, I agree. You know what I mean? But it's not, like I say, nobody wants to admit it. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to acknowledge it. Even right over here in Florida now, like Ron DeSantis, they've taken all of the Black History books out of the library. Everybody want to pretend like it doesn't happen, but he's saying, "Oh well, it's gonna make the kids feel guilty about what went on." But truth be told, is basically saying, and he's blatantly saying it. We don't want to make the white kids uncomfortable, but fuck what the black kids are saying. Fuck all of these other nationalities, but we don't want to make the white kids uncomfortable because we don't want them growing up feeling guilty about what happened in this country. But the truth, but these Confederate flags and all of that. That I mean, that's fine. Like it doesn't make sense. Let's talk. Let's name all of these schools after Robert E. Lee, and Andrew Jackson, and all of these guys. And but we're not going to say what we're not going to tell why these people, who these people are. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, Andrew Jackson, Stonewall Jackson. Yeah, he was a great guy. We're gonna name a school after him. We're gonna name a street after him. Name all these buildings after him. But what's in the books? What did he really do? You know what I mean? They're not
Right.
going to teach that. And I think
Right.
that's BS.
Yeah, I think a lot of African American men do not get the credit that they should get for, like, you're talking about history and things in that nature. And I feel like even I've come across in my research and in my teachings and my understanding of history that, we're lied about in every aspect. But, that there's been a lot of like African American men that have been founders and have been the like creators of these amazing things that we have in society right now, and their credit is taken from them and given to a white man, and they are praised for however long, many years, and will probably continue to be for, in the future, for something that someone else created and was snatched from because they were not considered significant enough in that time frame when those things happened. So I do definitely understand your perspective on that, and I again have agree with you and have come across many of those things, and I think it's disgusting, and it's disheartening that these types of things even happen for you black men in society, for black women too, but black men in society deserve better as well.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree 100%.
Do you, as like a black father, okay, because I know we have father in general is a hard title to have. You have all these things that you're juggling, whether it's being a husband, whether it's being a provider, a protector, and then being a father is just a whole different ball game. But being a not only a father but a black father in society, with the stigmas of black fathers and how they are perceived, as if like like you were saying, you're automatically assumed to be something. So in society, black fathers sometimes are assumed to be quote unquote deadbeats, or they're not there for their kids, or they're not present, or whatever the case is. Do you feel like you witness that, or that there's truth to that from your perspective as a black father in America?
Well, I know with my whole family, like I come from a very big family, a very strong and close family. So I wasn't really, far as in-house, I wasn't subjected to that. Like I grew up, my parents, were till this day, they're still together. Both parents in the house. My parents have been married, almost 50 years now. Uh, my grandparents, rest in peace, my granddaddy, passed the last year, but they were married for over 60 years. Uh, but I know as uh, it's tough. I'll say that because there's so many broken homes, but it's been that all of that it goes all the way back to slavery. But that was a culture not created by us, but it was created by slave owners, where they took all these families and they broke all of these families up. So
Yes.
you move fast forward a little bit to the welfare, and the uh the government assistance with the housing and everything. So now you have, you're not making enough money. You have the one who's not making enough money. So you're given this house by the government. You're paying a certain amount per month for rent, which is very low, but you can only live like that if there's not a man in the house. So now uh, you have these women living in a home. They're single mothers, and it's almost like they're rewarding them for being single mothers. They may want the child to have that father in their life, but the government is saying no. You're going to lose all of this that we're giving you if you have a man in the house with you and your child. You're going to lose all of these benefits. You're going to lose all your welfare. You know what I mean? We know it's tough for you, and we know this man can provide for you, but we're going to put him on child support. So now he's paying all these extra dollars on child support. You don't pay child support, you go to jail. You know what I mean? So you're working, trying to pay child support. You don't pay child support, you go to jail. You go to jail, you lose your job. Now you get out of jail, try to get a job, but you're already months behind on your child support. So now you go before the judge and say, "Hey, I need help. You know, it's impossible for me to pay $2,000 by the end of the month because I'm still trying to find a job." All right, well, you don't have a job by the end of this month, and these $2,000, you going back to jail. So it's just like it's they constantly created a system to where it's impossible for you to win. Luckily, some of us can, but by the skin of your teeth. But it's impossible. You know, like I said, we're us as black men, we're fathers. You know, especially we're already full. We're 400 years behind the starting line. So there's so much catching up, and then there's a system that has already been set up. You think about it, the the people who created these laws and all of these systems, everything has been built for white people to succeed and black people to fail. So for people to, we're looked at in I even as a child growing up, like I've had kids ask me, "Hey, do your does your parents live? Do your parents live together? Are they still together?" Like, as they ask because they don't expect that. They don't expect black kids to have both parents in the house. That's almost unusual to them, but a lot of they, like I said, they don't know any better. It's a culture that has been it's something that's been going on for over 400 years. So to them, to see, oh, well, I've got both of my parents in the house, that's almost like, that's so rare to a lot of people. But to me, that's just, why shouldn't I have both parents in the house? But yeah, I mean, as a black father, yeah, it is extremely tough because, some people come out of those broken homes and, you never know. The guy might end up with a woman who's whether she wants is that toxic relationship to where she tries to push the guy out of the child's life because that's the only thing she's ever seen.
Yeah, I will tell you this. I feel like from a woman's perspective, and people kind of would do that to me too. Like they'd be very surprised that my parents were together, that I grew up in a two-parent home. When we finally did move out of like a small apartment city style living, they would be very shocked that like my dad was able to put us into a nice home in the suburbs type of thing. But then also, like, I feel like as women, like you were saying, like we've been kind of conditioned by society, by the government, by sometimes our own family, even though our families are the people of color as well. We've been conditioned to feel like we don't need y'all. And we've been conditioned to feel like we would be better off if we did it on our own. We had the babies on our own. We got the the WIC checks. We got the welfare. We got the DSS. Even surpassed the government assistant. Just succeeding in the corporate world without men, without black men. And I had to take a minute and self reflect and be like, why do I feel that way? Why do I feel like I have to be the man when there is a man, there is a black man who is so full of love? Why are we conditioned that black men aren't full of love? Why are we conditioned that black men aren't there to provide and protect for us, to be there for us, to be a voice for us, just to be a safe, soft person in certain aspects? And like I said, like from a woman's perspective, I had to take a long time to reflect and be like, hold on, like our men are struggling. My brothers are struggling. My people are struggling. And we need to undo that, both men and women, but especially women. Like, it's time for us to get our families back together and keep our families together. It's time to get our community together. It's time to show our kids and tell our kids, the truth. And I know a lot of us kind of like grow up knowing that the government did this, but it's not talked about because, like you were saying, we're so busy trying to get especially our sons 400 years ahead because everybody's been pushed back. So I don't know. I could only imagine as a man how that's got to feel, knowing that, like you were kind of saying in another one, like you're constantly a threat. There's constantly a target on your back. There's constantly feeling like you constantly have to decipher, like, is this a safe place for me to express myself, B, the knowledge that I know, C, can I be the man that I was called to be? And I just feel like that's got to be really hard, and I empathize. And as a woman, I just want you to know that I've made it a pact to myself and to my people to just do better and to be there for y'all and to spin the block for y'all and to advocate for y'all. And that's part of the reason why I really wanted to have you here on this episode, because I feel like your insight is so powerful, it's so truthful, and it really sheds light onto the things that people want to overlook because they don't want to believe it. They don't want to believe that this is the truth. They don't want to believe that this is what happened and what's still happening. And I feel like this is very healing and this can really help break the stigma.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? Because like, yeah, I heard DL Hughley, he did an interview and he made perfect sense because he said the most dangerous place for a black man to be is in a white person's imagination, because it is because you have we're looked at, we're judged based on what's shown on TV. You know what I mean? And we're expecting, we're projected and we perceived as on TV to play these certain roles, and who's normally the bad guy, you know what I mean? Who's normally the villain, who's normally poor, you know what I mean? So that's what we're already seeing.
Yeah, and that again, that's got to be like just going back to like mental health. I already know. I don't even need you to say that it is. I already know that that plays a role in just making a just being a man is hard. Period, because of the mental health, because of the stigmas, because of the society expectations, and so on and so forth. But on top of that, just constantly having to overcome. It's constantly, I feel like it's just been a state of overcoming, and that's got to be so tiring. So I really hope that as we become more progressive as a society, that as people become more aware and more sensitive to things, let's be more sensitive to men's mental health. Let's be more sensitive to Black men's mental health. Let's be more sensitive to fatherhood. Let's be more sensitive to the trials and tribulations that people who are outside of your culture have had to overcome. Because there are so many things out there, like Loki was saying in the beginning, where everybody has an opinion, everyone's sensitive. You got to be careful with what you say. Um, so let's kind of make it a point to be like that with things that really matter, because there are so many men out there that are struggling, so many men that feel like they don't have a voice, or that their voice doesn't matter, or that they're carrying the weight of the world that they live in, but also that generational trauma. So I feel like as a collective, let this be a wake up call or a reminder or confirmation, whatever it is for you, that we have to do better. We have to do better for our men. We have to show up more for our men. We have to help our men heal, because we expect, as women, we expect a lot out of a man. We expect men to provide, to protect, to be in his divine masculine energy, to be a good father, to be a good husband, to be a good friend, to be a hard worker. And it's time that we give our men the support that they need. On that note, y'all, I don't want to keep y'all too much longer than 45 minutes. I know we went a little bit over, but we have a part two to this series dropping next week. And Loki is going to finish up this interview with us on our next episode. So, Loki, I just wanted to thank you so much for being vulnerable, for taking time to express yourself, share your insight, share pieces of your life with us. And I'm really excited to get into part two with y'all.
Yes, we appreciate you, Loki, and your insight is valuable, it's needed, it's appreciated, it's respected, and we want all men, to feel safe and to feel heard and to feel valued and appreciated. So we're definitely grateful for your time, for your energy, and we'll pick this up on the next episode, or the next part of this episode.
Yes, we'll see y'all next week. Thank you for listening.